You settle into your seat as the cabin door closes and the safety demonstration begins. Moments later, the captain's calm voice comes over the intercom, welcoming everyone on board. Most passengers hear those announcements and assume they're getting the full story. They're not. It's not because pilots are dishonest. In fact, most pilots are among the most professional people you'll ever meet. But commercial aviation operates according to procedures, policies, and business realities that passengers rarely see. And some of the most important details about flying aren't found in the safety card, the boarding pass, or the captain's announcement. For decades, travelers have viewed flying as a simple transportation service. You buy a ticket, board the plane, sit down, and trust that everything is designed with your comfort and convenience in mind. The reality is far more complicated. Every flight is governed by hundreds of decisions involving safety, efficiency, scheduling, revenue, and passenger behavior. Most of these decisions happen behind the scenes, and most travelers never realize how much they affect their experience. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on 10 flight secrets that pilots understand, airlines rarely discuss, and passengers often discover too late. Once you know these hidden realities, you'll never look at air travel the same way again. If you want more travel tips like this, hit subscribe. Number 1, the digital threat vector. Let us start with the terminal itself, before you even cross the jet bridge. You sit at the departure gate, notice your battery has dropped to 12%, and you plug your device into a public USB port embedded in the seat panel. You feel a wave of relief. In reality, you have just exposed your entire digital infrastructure to a catastrophic breach. In 2026, bad actors utilize a highly sophisticated technique called juice jacking to compromise these exact public ports. Because a standard USB port is engineered to transfer both power and raw data simultaneously, malicious scripts can silently siphon your passwords, clone your biometric keys, and map your private data cache while you sit there thinking you are simply charging your phone. Never connect your lifeline to an unverified public data stream. Carry a dedicated power brick and exclusively use high-voltage AC wall outlets to create an absolute physical firewall between your personal data and the terminal grid. Number 2, the biological blind spot. You board the aircraft, locate your row, and immediately deploy an antibacterial wipe across your tray table, feeling a false sense of biological security. You are entirely ignoring the primary pathogen hub of the entire seat, the mechanical latch. Cleaning crews, operating under brutal, mathematically precise turnaround constraints, will drag a rag across the flat plastic surface, but they completely ignore the recessed latch that every single passenger touches with their bare fingertips. You meticulously sanitize the table and then immediately reinfect your hands by manipulating the unsterilized latch to stow it. Execute a simple mechanical override. Use a covered knuckle, the fabric of your sleeve, or a sanitizing wipe to twist the hardware. Never touch communal aviation assets with exposed skin. Number 3, the kinetic ambush window. The aircraft reaches cruising altitude, the iconic double chime rings, and the seatbelt sign clicks off. The entire cabin lets out a collective breath, unbuckles, and begins walking the aisles. This is a massive psychological trap. The extinguishing of that sign is a legal minimum requirement. It is absolutely not a guarantee of atmospheric safety. Aviation meteorologists know a dark statistical reality. The highest risk window for severe, unpredicted clear air turbulence is the exact 20-minute period immediately after that sign extinguishes. Passengers completely drop their physical guard just as the airframe enters its most unstable cruise phase. If the aircraft drops into an atmospheric void, an unbuckled body instantly becomes a kinetic projectile. Keep your seatbelt securely fastened and visible over your clothing at all times. It is your absolute structural anchor. Number 4, the algorithmic capacity fraud. You hear the dreaded announcement at the gate that your flight is overbooked, and they are asking for volunteers. Most passengers assume this is a rare glitch in the airline's ticketing system. It is not a system glitch. It is a highly deliberate, calculated revenue extraction model. Airlines mathematically oversell the cabin based on historical no-show data, weather patterns, and advanced predictive AI to ensure maximum capital extraction per gallon of jet fuel. You are always part of their statistical gamble. If you are involuntarily denied boarding, do not accept their first offer of a minor, heavily restricted flight voucher. Demand your mandatory, statutory cash compensation under Federal Department of Transportation law. Do not let their algorithm dictate your financial rights. Number 5. The temporal manipulation. The flight attendant proudly announces you have landed 20 minutes early, and the cabin breaks into spontaneous applause. You are celebrating a corporate illusion. Airlines systematically engage in a practice known as schedule padding, quietly inflating the official block times of their flights by up to 30 minutes. A flight that takes 2 hours is marketed as a 2.5-hour journey. When you arrive early, you did not break any speed records. The built-in time buffer simply absorbed the standard tarmac delays to protect the airline's precious on-time performance metrics. They manipulate your perception of time to manufacture a false sense of efficiency and customer satisfaction. By the way, quick question. Have you ever been told your flight arrived early, only to feel like the journey took just as long as expected? Drop it in the comments to help other travelers. Number 6. The spatial etiquette failure. You hit the button on your armrest and aggressively recline your seat backward during the cabin meal service. This is a profound failure of spatial logistics. By doing this without warning, you instantly trap the passenger behind you. You pin their deployed tray table, violently spill their scalding coffee, and physically crush their expensive laptop screen against the hinge mechanism. This is not merely an issue of being polite, it is about situational awareness in a highly compressed, geometric environment. A simple 2-second visual check over your shoulder before you alter the spatial reality of the row prevents you from destroying someone else's hardware and ruining their biological fueling window. Number 7. The external diagnostics protocol. Before takeoff and landing, flight attendants march down the aisle demanding that you raise your window shades. Most passengers comply, assuming it is just a stubborn corporate rule or a nice way to let natural light into the cabin. It has absolutely nothing to do with the view. It is a strict emergency visibility protocol. If the airframe suffers a kinetic impact or a cabin fire on the runway, the flight crew and external emergency responders have mere seconds to look through those windows to determine which side of the aircraft is clear for the deployment of emergency evacuation slides. A closed shade actively blinds their diagnostic capabilities in a life-or-death scenario where milliseconds dictate survival. Number 8. The internal reservoir hazard. The drink cart arrives at your row. You order a hot coffee, a tea, or a cocktail over ice, willfully ingesting a severe biological hazard. The hot water and the ice cubes are sourced directly from the aircraft's internal holding tanks. Decades of rigorous environmental testing confirm that these massive metal reservoirs frequently test positive for coliform bacteria and other pathogens. Because aircraft operate on constant turnaround schedules, these tanks are rarely sterilized to proper medical standards. Do not assume the alcohol in your drink will protect you. The proof is mathematically too weak to neutralize a concentrated bacterial load. The tactical defense is absolute. Consume only sealed, factory-bottled liquids. 0 exceptions. Number 9. The thermal fusion risk. You board a 10-hour international flight wearing premium synthetic athleisure wear, spandex leggings, a nylon jacket, or polyester layers. You feel incredibly comfortable. You are also wearing a highly dangerous chemical liability. In the rare event of a cabin fire, atmospheric temperatures spike violently. Under extreme heat, synthetic fabrics do not burn the way natural materials do. They melt, shrink wrap, and fuse directly into your dermal layers. Trauma surgeons confirm that removing melted synthetic fabric from human flesh is an agonizing, catastrophic surgical process. Professional operators dress defensively. They wear natural fibers like heavy cotton, dense wool, or thick denim, which char and turn to ash, creating a temporary thermal shield that buys you the precious seconds required to escape. Number 10. The orthopedic death trap. If the captain ever orders the cabin to brace for impact, human instinct will scream at you to plant your feet perfectly flat, directly beneath your knees to feel grounded. If you execute this natural posture during a violent deceleration, the kinetic energy will force your lower body rapidly forward. Your shins will slam directly into the solid metal baggage bar mounted underneath the seat in front of you with bone-breaking force. If you shatter your tibia, you instantly lose the ability to walk. If you cannot walk, you cannot evacuate the burning airframe. The survival override takes exactly 2 seconds. Slide your feet as far back as physically possible, tucking them deeply underneath your own seat cushion. This removes your lower extremities entirely from the kinetic strike zone, preserving your structural mobility. Traveling in the modern era is not a passive experience. It is a tactical deployment. By understanding the algorithmic manipulation of ticketing, the hidden pathogens in the galley, and the kinetic reality of the airframe, you break their psychological hold over your journey. You protect your capital, you secure your anatomy, and you command the architecture of the sky. Tell me in the comments below the most shocking realization you had during this breakdown. And let's dissect the psychology behind why the airlines fight so hard to keep it a secret. Hit that like button and subscribe to join our community of elite travelers. Safe travels. Fly smarter, not harder.